Hello there and welcome to episode 8 of Colonization Project. What we're doing right now is we are taking the Endurance on its second flight. This time it is going to go get a kerbal from low carbon orbit. It's kind of made that rescue craft that we sent in the last mission kind of obsolete, because now we can launch the Endurance really quickly. We don't really need we don't really need the sort of added capabilities of the of Space Lab, which is interesting considering we probably spent a lot of money doing that. But oh well, we have a better solution now, and that is this. I mean, why else would we be launching this? Not really much to say here, because we've done this quite a few times in the past. We have, I think this is our second Kerbin rescue. Yes. Second Kerbin rescue, I believe, because we did that first one and then we're doing second one now. Actually, I was having second thoughts about whether this was the mission where I actually rescue a stranded kerbal. It is that mission. I was just confused because I forgot to read the little I forgot to read the name of the kerbal. But we will be launching the Endurance again in the second launch of this episode, which is, yeah, that's kind of cool. But we're now just performing a quick course correction to get us onto a course with the stranded kerbal. I had to wait a bit in orbit because I'm still not very good with the ascent profiles for the SSTOs, because like I'm used to having normal rocket launches when I'm rendezvousing with spacecraft, but this is an SSTO and it takes more time to ascend, and yeah, it sort of throws my time, the skill that I don't even know. It throws the memory, like, what would you call it? But it throws the timing off a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, we have to perform quite a few expensive maneuvers. You can see we're actually on a suborbital trajectory right now, which isn't the best, but it's also not the worst, considering we need it to get on a course with the capsule. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on a course with the capsule. And yeah, that's about it. Not much to talk about here. And yeah, not really much to talk about. So I can discuss what I've been planning to do for one day, actually. I do plan on starting a new series on this channel. I might start it. I might also not. But I plan to create a new series, and it's going to involve sending missions to different planets in the Kerbal system. It's going to be a stock series. It's not going to be heavily modded like this one. And it's going to involve sending missions out to different bodies in the solar system. But we're going to visit the same planet 3 times with one craft, which I think is going to be quite an exciting series if I do ever get to building it, because building those missions, I've tried to do a couple of them. The first one that I did was a Minmus to the 3rd power mission, and 3rd power is just an easy way of saying, hey, we're visiting this planet 3 times in one launch. But I tried to do a Minmus to the 3rd power mission. It was pretty hard. And yeah, that's about it. Like, I got so close to completing that mission, and then I ran out of fuel. I was literally so close to completing that mission, but it just decided no. But I do plan on revisiting that. That was actually a really long time ago. I actually recorded that, and I actually planned for that to be the first video on my channel, which it wasn't. The first video was at Starship Landing. And after that I had another plan for a video, which would be a 12-ton mission to Skindo, which is a planet in the Beyond Home Planet Pack. I got that all recorded, and then I realized that I didn't know how to edit it. So I went on to do a Gateway 5 mission. Gateway is another planet in the Beyond Home Planet Pack. And I got that finished. Oh, it wasn't a Gateway 5 mission. It was a Gateway 6 mission where we actually land on the gas giant itself. I didn't complete that either because I got it all edited, which is good, but I didn't get it actually. But then I realized I didn't know how to do post commentary. I still don't, which is why, yeah, the post commentary on my video isn't. It's not the best, to be honest. But then I went on to Colonization Project, and that's where we are now. Fun fact, actually, the banner in my channel page, that's actually a screenshot from the Gateway 6 mission. That was the spacecraft that I sent to Gateway, and the big SSTO with the big wings, that's the one that actually lands on the gas giant itself. And the smaller one, I'm not sure here, let me check. It's probably it's not on there, but there was a smaller SSTO. It landed on Comb, which was sort of like the Lathe equivalent in Beyond Home. And yeah, it's a pretty neat looking spacecraft, if I do say so myself. But back to the mission at hand, which I completely talked over. I can never seem to get this right because I either end up not having enough to talk about, or I end up talking way too much and I don't get to the important details of the mission. Like, what are we doing here? Well, you did see me re-enter the second flight of the Endurance. I docked to the space station, and then I realized that I didn't need to dock to the space station. I was tired when I recorded that, so I don't know. And then that was our space tourism mission. It was carrying a tourist into Kerbal orbit for about a day, and then we just sent him back home because, you know, it has limited life support. That's about all we did while I was talking over that. So we can now move on to the next launch. I don't know what this next launch is. Actually, I sort of do, but oh yes, it is the Minmus Orbital Outpost lander and life support module. I was planning to launch these in 2 separate parts, but then I just decided why not just stack one on top of each other. We can reduce launch costs that way. I also had a bit of trouble designing a booster for the life support module because it's too heavy to be carried on a Constellation booster and it's too light to be carried on a Sarnis. So I just decided to ride share it with the lander, which needed a Sarnis anyway, and most of the time our Sarnis boosters have a lot of extra fuel, which is probably a good thing because we don't want to be running out of fuel. We are once again recovering the booster. I believe this is the I don't even know how many flights this booster has had. It's probably somewhere around a ballpark of 5 reflights, which is pretty good because this booster is literally carrying our entire space program. Chances are we would be bankrupt without it. We probably wouldn't though, because we have a bunch of extra. Actually, we could probably function as a space program without the Sarnis booster, but it's kind of cool landing the booster on the drone ship. So yeah. Anyways, we have landed a booster and we are off to Minmus. I wanted this lander to do a couple things. I wanted it to carry a significant amount of cargo to the surface, which is the little thing you see above the fuel tank. That's a bunch of personal inventory space. So it can bring a bit of cargo down to the surface. And I wanted it to carry 3 crew members, which it does. And we don't really need much fuel for landing on Minmus, so we have a very small fuel tank at the bottom and a single Terrier engine to power it. And it works out quite well, although we will have to send a couple refueling missions up to the Minmus Orbital Outpost, which shouldn't be that hard considering the launch vehicles we will be developing in the next episode. I believe episode 9 is when we get the new launch vehicle, but I will leave that as a surprise for episode 9, which I don't even want to know when episode 9 should be out because it's probably going to be a long time. Because this episode took a long time to get out because I've had enough free time to the point where I have enough time to sort of like edit a bit of a video, but not enough free time to the point where I can spend 40 or so minutes recording post-commentary. Post-commentary only takes about like 35 minutes to record depending on the length of the episode, but it's sort of nice to have that it's sort of nice to have a bit of extra time when recording post-commentary because I don't know, just yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, it's I don't know, but we have docked to the Minmus Orbital Outpost, and yeah, we can move on to the next launch, which should be happening shortly. And yeah, very shortly. I'm just renaming it to Minmus Orbital Outpost, and this was actually when I discovered that Kerbal Space Program actually has a priority naming feature. So now, when we dock a new spacecraft to the Minmus Orbital Outpost, it will stay named as Minmus Orbital Outpost. right now, the Space Lab is currently named KSS Life Support Module 1, which is because when I sent the Life Support Module up there, I was still calling it KSS, which stands for Kerbal Space Station. Very creative. And yeah, I didn't discover the priority at naming at that time, so it's just going to be named that until I find the will to actually rename it, which isn't very strong because it's just the name of the space station. It doesn't really do anything. But I probably will eventually get to renaming it. Oh, another interesting feature to note is that this is actually our first RTLS landing. The crew transfer vehicle, which is what we were launching, is way too heavy to be... yeah, it's really heavy, so the booster can't give it enough yeet into the atmosphere in order to get that far downrange. So we just have to do a RTLS landing, which stands for Return to Launch Site, if you don't know. And yeah, that's about it. Which does mean that our second stage has to do a bit of extra work, which means that our second stage barely has any fuel left, so we detach it early. But our crew transfer vehicle can ease it. It has a lot of fuel in it, so getting it out to Minmus isn't that difficult. But yeah, we are once again using that very efficient engine that we used in the the rescue vehicle that we launched to Space Lab. It's a bit of an upscaled version because this is 1.875 meters in diameter, while the other one is 1.25 meters in diameter. And I'm not sure if it's more efficient or less efficient, but it does the job well, and that's really all that matters. I do believe that this is massively overbuilt for a Minmus mission because we have a lot of extra fuel in this. But oh well. So it's always better to overbuild than underbuild, especially on crewed craft, because you don't want to be stranding any kerbals in orbit. You may see that we have that little fairing there atop of the storage containers. That's just some life support recyclers and some monopropellant tanks, just some general supplies to keep the kerbals happy, although I'm not sure they need monopropellant to be happy. That would be quite frightening if they did, because that's probably really toxic. Because monopropellant is... I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a hypergolic fuel. I could be very wrong, don't quote me on that. I am not an expert in monopropellant, but I'm assuming it's a single propellant. I'm not sure how it works, but it's probably a very toxic material, so I really hope the kerbals don't need monopropellant to stay happy. But that's just some general supplies, and we also have that hitchhiker storage unit to keep the kerbals from becoming stir crazy because they don't have enough room to stretch their legs. Because having a small capsule for 7 days isn't probably the best option out there. Because you know it's going to get kind of cramped really quickly, and you know, a hitchhiker storage unit, it can store like food, it can store like beds, like maybe a bathroom. I don't know. but it keeps the kerbals happy, which is what matters. Now, we actually have a contract to repair a rover on the surface of Minmus, which was quite exciting because this is actually my first time playing in in a version greater than 1.11. The save is actually in 1.12. I upgraded it to 1.12 because performance increases. Performance increases are and it's also the last update, so all the new mods work. But this is my first time playing with the EVA construction mode, and I didn't know that it was very, very buggy on the surface when you're repairing rovers on the surface. Which is sort of a spoiler alert, because the rover ends up blowing up a couple of times because the Kraken doesn't like it. But you'll see that soon. But our pilot, oh my goodness, Jebediah Kerman was the first one to step on Minmus in this mission, and then the rest of the crew can get out, which contains Bill and Bob. So we have Bill, Bob, and Jebediah, which are the first crew to be on a space station that's not orbiting Kerbin, which is pretty cool. Because, we're actually starting colonizing places now. Not in a very good way, because it's not self-sufficient at all. We need very complex materials for building a self-sufficient base, and that won't be for a while, but we do have a space station now, and that's pretty cool. I guess you could sort of see it as a sort of not a self-sufficient colony, but rather a I'm not sure what to compare it to, because I'm pretty sure the early bases of colonization in the United States were sort of self-sufficient. I mean, they needed money, which I believe is why they went there. But they had farmland. So, I don't know. I don't know what would be an example of a non-self-sufficient base that's not on the surface of... sort of not on the surface. I guess a boat would be a good example, but a boat doesn't stay there. It sort of moves around like boats do. But yeah, there's not really a good thing to compare it to. However, I just force completed the contract that required us to required us to fix the rover. I'm not sure how I would have fixed it, because it looked pretty fine to me. It just wouldn't drive, and yeah, it kept on exploding. So I just put the parts that we needed to place on there, and then I destroyed the rover after force completing the contract, because first, yeah, it's a bug. I feel that's sort of, that cheat is sort of excused in this point, because that was a bug. And normally you would, like, if you were repairing your rover on the surface of the moon, you would like put on a few wheels on it, or repair the wheels. That's probably a better option. You would repair the wheels and send it off on its way. But here we can't do that, so I don't know. But due to Minmus's low gravity, we can actually do a quick little biome hop to get the maximum amount of science possible. Which, yeah, that's pretty cool. Because we need all that science. We need a lot of science in order to complete the interstellar tech tree, which is sort of a goal of this series because we need to go interstellar at some point. We have a bunch of exoplanets to colonize. And we also need to colonize the solar system, and it's going to be hard to do that for the outer planets without having fusion engines, because otherwise it's going to take 90 years to get to Block, which is the analog to Pluto. Yeah, it takes a long time to get there, and we want fusion drives, like high efficiency, high thrust fusion drives that can burn for days on end, which I find a very cool concept. And just use that to traverse the solar system in a couple days' time or a couple months' time. But that won't be for a long time because right now we are limited to chemical rockets. We don't even have NERVAs or ion engines yet, NERVAs are sort of high efficiency, but they cannot burn for days on end. And ion engines can burn for days on end, but they have really bad thrust to weight ratio. So, yeah. But fusion engines, on the other hand, fusion engines have a high efficiency and high thrust to weight ratio, which is why we're going to be using them. Otherwise, why would we put a fusion reactor in space? Why would we put a fusion reactor in space if it's not worth it? Yeah, but that's not for a long time. But we have gotten back into orbit and can now get back to the not the Lunar Gateway. We don't have a Lunar Gateway yet, and I really don't want a Lunar Gateway because I just don't know why. Ever since we haven't visited the Mun since the Mun 5 mission, and Minmus is just so better than Mun. It has the flats. It takes less delta V to do anything around Minmus than it does around the Mun, which is why I like it so much. But we will eventually colonize the Mun. I'm not sure what we will do with it, but I don't know. That's for the future, which isn't right now. Right now we are launching. We're not launching. Yeah, I had the perfect transition right there, but oh well. We are reuniting with the Minmus Orbital Outpost and can dock with it and start processing all of the data that we got from the surface, which gives us a whole lot of science for the price of free, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, the labs are now full of data, so we're going to have to send up another lab soon. But that will actually be in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.